Andretti just unleashed a bombshell on the world of Formula One and the FIA, and trust us, it's big. They've dropped some game-changing revelations that are shaking up the entire racing community. So let's buckle up and dive into this video today to uncover all the juicy details. You won't want to miss this. Andretti has been trying to get into Formula One for some time now. They really wanted to join the races as soon as they could. At first, they aimed for 2025, but F1 said no to that idea. So, Andretti changed their plans to join in 2026. They even officially asked to join, and FIA said yes. But then F1 and Liberty Media said no. They said no to Andretti and any other new team, at least for now. Further, he didn't want to give up. They got support from the United States itself. The US government got involved because they cared about Andretti joining F1. The United States House Judiciary Committee chairman started looking into why Liberty Media said no to Andretti. This happened right after Mario Andretti went to talk to people in the Capitol building. A Republican named Jim Jordan wrote a letter to F1's owners. He wanted to know why they said no to Andretti and understand how they made that decision. It's like he's asking, why did you stop Andretti's dream? Jordan, a Republican, wrote letters to Greg Maillet, CEO of Liberty, and Stefano Domenicali, CEO of F1. He asked them for answers to ensure there was no illegal or unfair behavior and to understand why Andretti couldn't join F1. He said, "We need to look at this carefully." His letter discussed the Judiciary Committee, which examines laws that keep competition fair. He said, F1 is a big example of this. He explained that F1 needs some agreements to work well. But if F1 breaks its own rules and hurts competition, that's a problem. Jordan said he didn't believe some of F1's reasons for saying no to Andretti. F1 said Andretti couldn't join because they wouldn't add much to the races. But Jordan didn't buy it. He said it seemed like F1 was making up excuses. He thought F1's reasons were unfair and didn't make sense. For example, F1 said a new team like Andretti could only be good if they won races. FIA's approval versus Formula One's standards. The FIA had already checked and said Andretti Cadillac was good enough to race with other teams. And here's the thing, most teams in F1 don't always win races. So Andretti wasn't alone in that. But Formula One had some problems with Andretti. They didn't like that Andretti wanted to use an engine from another company. They thought it would make F1 look bad. They said if Andretti used an engine from General Motors, it would be tough for them in their first year. It's like Formula One wanted things one way then another. But the truth, according to the FIA president, is that it's about money. Formula One didn't want Andretti because they thought it would cost too much. The committee also thought Formula One was being unfair. They said Formula One was scared that having another team would make it harder for the current ones to make money. It's like they're saying, Formula One wants to protect its favorites, even if it's not good for fans. If Andretti Cadillac can't join Formula One for even 1 year, it'll hurt American fans, but it might help teams that are already struggling in F1. Jordan wants to know why this decision was made. He asked F1 for all the documents and information about how they decide on new teams, especially why Andretti was rejected. Jordan wants to see everything F1 has about Andretti's application and why it was turned down. He also wants to know if F1 talked with the current teams about new teams joining. He asked for a meeting soon to talk about all of this. Speaking at a press conference, Mario Andretti said they did everything they were asked to do. He talked proudly about his own F1 career. He's asking, did F1 say no to Andretti just to keep the current teams happy? And even though Andretti's stuck right now, they're still getting ready. They're trying to talk to F1 to change their minds. Andretti is thinking about what to do next. If Andretti's efforts to change F1's decision fail, getting political support will be crucial. Andretti Global was happy about the investigation into Liberty and F1's actions. F1 had looked into Andretti before and said no, but others thought Andretti would be great for F1. However, F1 and Liberty Media said no because they thought an 11th team wouldn't make F1 better. They said the most important thing is being competitive, and they didn't think Andretti could do that. Andretti had a deal with Renault for engines, but it seems Renault isn't interested anymore. According to the rules, if a team can't get its own engine deal, F1 picks one for them. But this could hurt Andretti because they might not get the best deal. Even though Andretti is a famous name in F1, F1 didn't think having them would make F1 better. They thought F1 would make Andretti more popular, not the other way around. F1 was against adding an 11th team because they believed it would create more work for race organizers and cost them more money. They also thought it would limit what other teams could do in terms of technology and business. F1 didn't see how adding Andretti would make them more money, which is really important for the championship's value. F1 and Andretti had talked before, even meeting in person before the Miami event. F1 had invited Andretti for a meeting back in December to discuss their application, but Andretti didn't respond because they didn't see the email. Although they eventually started meeting in person, progress has been slow. Andretti clarified that their application was for 2026, even though they originally discussed joining in 2025. This change was one of F1's reasons for rejecting Andretti's application. Further, he remains firm on joining F1 in 2026. They see it as crucial to participate in 2026 and 2027 before introducing the GM Works engine in 2028. However, F1's stance hasn't shifted, leading to an ongoing stalemate. The lack of progress in discussions may have led to political involvement in the United States. Andretti's strategic narrative. Despite the impasse, Andretti presents a narrative of moving forward swiftly with their plans. They aim to establish a UK facility alongside their main base in Indiana and other facilities like GM's Technology Center. Andretti's rejection from F1 this year didn't close the door entirely. There's still a possibility for 2028, especially when they plan to use the GM Works engine. F1's official standpoint is open to reconsidering such a program, but it's easier said than done. F1 initially rejected Andretti because they believed an inexperienced team with a new engine supplier would face significant obstacles. However, delaying decisions might just silence Andretti without any concrete follow-through, especially considering the complexities involved in such endeavors. It is also noted that F1 recognized that most attempts to create a new team in the past few decades have ended in failure. However, it's possible that F1 was simply acknowledging this issue and could be convinced of the importance of bringing in an established new manufacturer. The declaration of interest was initially for 2025, 2026, or 2027. Reconsidering Andretti's application might require reopening the entire process. This could give rejected teams like High-Tech another chance previously. There's also talk about setting a maximum 10-team grid in the Concord Agreement. This hasn't been openly acknowledged by F1 or the current teams. F1 likely wouldn't support this idea, suggesting it came from one or more current competitors. Limiting the grid in commercial agreements would solidify the perception of F1 as a closed business. At present, F1 can argue, though just barely, that it isn't fundamentally against expanding the grid. The existing laws and economic structures allow for more teams to join. Removing this flexibility would reflect poorly on F1 and defeat its own purpose. If a manufacturer-backed team was eager to join F1, the championship would have to reject them. However, this scenario is now considered unlikely. The main question is whether F1 is genuinely committed to its 2028 proposal. Andretti must decide if they're willing to challenge F1's stance and see what unfolds. Additionally, there's the factor of US involvement. Will it aid Andretti in securing a spot on the grid even before the proposed 2028 timeline? F1 must balance maintaining its image while also considering new entrants. Andretti needs to weigh the risks of pushing against F1's stance against the potential benefits of US support. Ultimately, the decision hinges on F1's sincerity in welcoming new teams and Andretti's willingness to navigate the complexities of the situation. So what do you think of Andretti's entry in F1? Comment below and subscribe for more.